Hi RVC teachers, this is a quick video on how to look at what your students have been working on in their learning paths and how well their progress has been in those activities. So you're going to go back to the report screen within Pathblazer. You're going to hit new report at the top and go down to progress reports. And under progress reports, you're then going to go to the learning path status summary. You can rename it here if you'd like. I'm going to leave it. Go to learning path. Now here I'm going to select my district and hit search. And in the case of my students, there are 29 different learning paths because you have all of the pre-test learning paths for ELA. You have all the pre-test learning paths for math, for A, for B, for C, and then you have all the kindergarten learning paths. So in this case, I just want to see the progress on my students. And so I'm just going to select all of them and add selected items. Now I'm going to go over to students. I'm going to select my students, select all of them to add. And in this case, I'm doing this because I want to take out a few students I know that are no longer in RVC. So I'm going to delete those or uncheck them. And then I'm going to hit add selected items. And then now I've got my students that says that there's 10 added. I'm going to hit schedule and send, but I'm not actually going to do anything with this. And now I'm going to hit run. Now this report is 18 pages long, but just as a cursory glance how to read this, you'll see that this is for ELA 1, Diagnostic A, and the student in this case, they took the pre-test, they've already taken the post-test, and this is how much time they spent in each of the different standards within that learning path. In this one, the student at some point was assigned this learning path. They have not worked on it at all. Another student here, they did work on this learning path. They've done 4 activities with an 87%, and they spent 34 minutes on it. What's kind of nice about these reports is you can see the time spent within each of the standards, along with how many activities they've completed within that standard and how much time was spent. At the bottom, you'll see a key for what the standards actually are. So just as an example, and I'm just going to go to the next page for a moment, you will see that I have a student here who has not necessarily taken the post-assessment. They've been working on their learning path for ELA 2. They've worked in several standard areas and logged some significant time overall. Something that just kind of stands out to me on this one is that in 2 areas, he's really struggling. He's gotten a 20% on 6 activities and 30% on 10 activities in these 2 standard areas, RI 2.5 and RL 2.5. So when I go down to the key, 2.5 is know and use various text features to locate key facts or information in a text efficiently. And then same with RL, it's the overall structure of a story, the 2.5. So those are 2 areas that in reading groups I might really focus on for that student is, the big ideas that come from our informational text and then from our literature text. So those are some things that this particular student needs to work on. Meanwhile, this student here at the bottom did work in 1 standard area with 4 activities. He got an 80%, so they're actually making some progress in there, so there's some promise there. So that's a little bit of just a dive. You can go, of course, through all 18 pages to look at each of the different learning paths, whether they're A or B, and just see what they're working on. This will also be helpful for looking at their standards progress and what exactly they're focusing on in each of their learning paths. Hope this is helpful.